Yo, what's going on, everybody? Jim Berenger here, Full Press Hockey Weekly, waiting for my tag team partner, member of the NWO, because it's for life. Chris Wassel, there he is. We're back. It's free agency frenzy here on July 1st. Happy Canada Day to everybody up north. And as you can see, I'm recovering from Nashville. I have a lot of water. So, it was a crazy week of travel for me. But you can get this show at Full Press NHL on Twitter, which we'll get to in a moment, fullpresshockey.com, Full Press Radio on Twitter, Full Press coverage on Facebook. Find us soon on Roku. And, get us everywhere. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Chris, what's going on?
It is a beautiful... Wait, aren't we supposed to get rain tonight? Ah, crap. It was a beautiful day here in New Jersey because...
It was a beautiful day indeed.
You know why it was nice? Because unlike so many other teams today, we didn't spend a whole bunch of money.
No, they did not. The Devils did not spend a lot of money.
There are some teams that are still signing players. All right. We've gone too far in saying that teams are still signing players because, to be fair, we believe, at least, that the day is done.
We believe the day is done. You know, you have these odd signings in the middle of the night that happen. But before we get into this, because it is July 1st, it's Happy Canada Day again to everybody up north. We all woke up, and it was funny because I went to bed in the morning. I got home, went to bed in the morning. My Twitter was working fine.
And
then I wake up to free agency frenzy, and my Twitter's not working. And on one of the most important days of the hockey calendar, it's not working.
Not good.
Damn you. Not good. Not good at all. Not good at all. But we survived. We got through it. Hooked up we had it was a multiple device day. Now we had phone, tablets, computer. So you got to get the news out there because, we're doing our thing. We're down in Nashville. Like I said, we're on site, boots on the ground. I was in Nashville, out on the draft floor, inside the room for the 2023 NHL draft. Getting there was a story in itself. It was fun, but it was a story in itself. But free agency frenzy, like you said, teams were spending a lot of money. I don't know if they've learned anything, Chris. I really don't.
It's weird. How to explain this to people? Because they're going to see the amounts and go, "Oh my God, that's all just a gargantuan amount of money." And in some teams did seem to learn, hey, the next year is going to be kind of crappy, so we're going to sign a lot of short-term deals. Okay, that's great. But then you have some of the old standbys who sit there and think, all right, so we can't offer money, so we're going to offer a ton of term instead. So you have lots of different extremes going on at once. For example, we had the 5 p.m. Lou Lamoriello news dump. All their signings happened at 5 o'clock.
We'll get to the Islanders, and we'll get to the Penguins, too.
There's
because
a lot of crazy things going on.
I got some issues with what they did. Not so much with their goaltender, but some other players. And Pittsburgh, Kyle Dubas, oh, boy. But you mentioned New Jersey off the top. They didn't spend a lot of money today. And I think, I think the story of the weekend and the story of the week really has been the salary cap's been the big winner because it's just wreaked havoc on what teams can do. And it really has. Like, you think about it. The cap's only going up by $1 million. Teams they don't know what to do. They don't know how to spend the money. They're trying to find money. And you saw it yesterday with all the buyouts and the players, the RFAs that weren't qualified. It became like, and Ian, our producer, will love this reference. It became like the NFL because you see in the NFL good players getting cut just to find money, and they had to do it.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the deals that were made today with players that were getting, a couple of good examples. Like Mackenzie Blackwood wasn't qualified by San Jose, and then signed hours later, but it couldn't be made official until noon. So 5 o'clock yesterday, he wasn't qualified. Basically, according to what he said, the deal was done at before 9 o'clock Eastern last night, but couldn't be announced. That's not the only thing. There's something we're going to get into very late in the show this evening about something that's very NBA-esque with a trade that cannot be made until next week.
Oh, I know about that trade.
Because
I
it was
heard
on
about
the
that
floor
trade on the
last.
draft
Yup,
floor.
this is.
I heard about that trade. It involves Tony D'Angelo going back to the Carolina
You
Hurricanes.
can't do that on television reference will be made during the show because yes, it's Canada Day and it's a Canadian show.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the reason is he got traded. You can't be traded in the same year as you can't get traded back in the same year after you just signed a contract.
Fiscal dilemmas.
So he has to sign, the fiscal dilemma. So he has to get traded next week. So Tony D'Angelo will be a member of the Carolina Hurricanes next week. Speaking of the Hurricanes, I guess it's a good spot to start, right? The Carolina Hurricanes. Let's start with the Carolina Hurricanes, the top team in the Metro Division, lost in the Eastern Conference Final. They were very active today. And I'm going to say this. I was very, very surprised that they brought back the three-headed monster.
You're not the only one. I don't get some of the moves, and you know what? I think in some bizarre way, we're not meant to at this point because that's the only way to try and describe what happened with Carolina.
Right. I don't understand what they did. Look, Freddie Anderson gets a new deal. Antti Ranta gets a new deal. They re-signed Jesper Fosca. I don't have a problem with that. That deal is
neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there. I think that's a good depth signing. Obviously, look, we knew Tom Dundon. We knew Waddell said that they wanted to look for depth. They needed to upgrade their scoring because of what happened in the playoffs. You had guys hurt, and Svechnikov. I mean, look, that's terrible timing. But Pacioretty ruptured Achilles twice. I mean, but the fact that you have Peter Kochetkov there, who played really well this season, if you just had a veteran guy there, there's a possibility that they could lose Kochetkov, right?
There's a chance. There's always there. You can never say never with these things.
Right.
Again, it's just one of those things. It's like, why? Let's put it this way. Carolina's problems are mostly self-inflicted.
Right. They're mostly self-inflicted.
And from what I've seen, I mean, again, it's early. You know, they could address this in training camp or perhaps during the season. But correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. They still have the same issues with that thing called a playoff present penalty kill.
Yeah, they do. I mean, look, Pacioretty goes to Washington. That's a good value contract for them. I think he'll bring the scoring that they need. Again. Yeah, I mean, hopefully he doesn't because he's a great player to watch, and you never want to see guys get hurt. But again, is Washington better? I don't know. I don't think they are. I don't think they're better. I mean, look, Jordan Staal was always coming back. Foster's always coming back like that. I mean, but the big thing to me is that they actually spent money on Dmitry Orlov. Like 2 years at 7.5 for Orlov. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I think Orlov is smart only going 2 years because the cap's going to go up. We hope in a couple of years by $10 million. I mean, you're looking at a jump next year and then another jump after that. So he's setting himself up for the future as a smart businessman because this is a business. Yeah. This isn't, and teams have to make tough decisions like the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights, ever since they came into the league, have made tough decisions. And they figure out ways to get it done. I mean, that was the one thing I took away from listening to Craig Button and talking with is just because your GM didn't do it doesn't mean it can't be done. It can be done. You just have to figure it out, and you have to make tough decisions. And again, Vegas made a tough decision. They acquired Ivan Barbashev at the deadline. They get rid of Riley Smith. and they re-sign Barbashev and they re-sign Hill. And oh look, Laurent Brossoit is the odd man out because, well, there's just only so much net for guys. You have Thompson, Leonard, and now you have Aiden Hill. So Vegas knows how to make the tough decisions. The question is with Carolina continuously sniffing around Erik Karlsson, what does it mean for Brett Pesce? I mean, is he going to be the player that goes back in that deal? If it goes through. Again, if it's all speculation.
If it goes through. And I don't know that answer just yet. I don't think anybody in the rumor industry has any clue what is going on here, because it depends on who you read and who you believe where Erik Karlsson might wind up.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be Pittsburgh? Could it be Carolina? It's probably not Seattle. Seattle seems to be out of it.
I think Seattle's out.
Yeah,
of it,
I can't see
honest.
them.
I really think I can't see them making. No, I mean, I just don't. I don't see it. I really don't see them. I mean, look, and not to mention, look, they spent money on Michael Bunting at 3 years, 13.5 at 4.5 million a season. That's actually a pretty decent signing. That's a really nice upgrade for their top six. So I think Carolina did some really good things here. I don't know if they spent stupid money, because some teams spent stupid money today. I think they spent the money that they needed to because, let's be honest, they had to. They just can't continuously live. And we've documented it, so I don't want to beat a dead horse here. And again, they had to spend the money. We know their owner doesn't like to spend the money to keep players. Why Gostisbehere's left, why, D'Angelo was traded, why Dougie Hamilton's in New Jersey. But eventually the checkbook has to be open if you want to keep that team together, because they are in championship window. Their pedigree is now to win. And if they do not sign their players, well, they're going to lose them. And I think that's the issue. Brett Pesce, what does he want? If he's asking too much, are they going to trade him? That's the big key. And again, is Karlsson going to come there? Does Karlsson go to Pittsburgh? I still don't know how they're going to make that work in Pittsburgh, just because of what they did today.
Oh boy. Just cover your eyes if you're a Pittsburgh fan.
All right, since I brought it up.
Yeah, there's lots of elephants in this room, but Pittsburgh's the first one.
So that's the biggest elephant in the room. Okay. We've talked about the Pittsburgh Penguins a lot on this show. Okay. We've talked about their goaltending. We've talked about them addressing needs. I have an article that will go up after this show about the Penguins and what they did on free agency. Okay. They re-signed Tristan Jarry to a 5-year extension, $5.375 million AAV. Okay. I know I'm not in the game as long as a lot of other people, but I will say this. That's, as to quote Lou Lamoriello, it's too long for too much.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Hey. Oh, it's getting bigger.
It's that. Look, Jarry, when he came into the league, he was good, but he's injury prone. This team has won one playoff series since they went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals and won. Jarry's been there for a couple of those. They missed the playoffs last year. He's a guy who's injury prone. You're telling me there wasn't another option on the market? And maybe there wasn't. But that's a panic move. And look, I said this when Kyle Dubas was hired. He had to make tough decisions in Pittsburgh. This is showing me, with these moves, he was ready to run the band back in Toronto. Right? Am I wrong?
It looks like it was going to be same old, same old.
Because look, Craig Button said this today on TSN. Other people are mentioning it. The guy's injury prone. I think we've seen the best of Tristan Jarry. Consistently, can this team be good enough with an aging roster? Is this just good enough to get in and lose in the first round again? Probably. I think so. To be honest, I really think it is. 5 years at that kind of money, not good. You have Casey DeSmith. Yes, you signed Alex Nedeljkovic for depth. It's a panic move to me. It really is a panic move to sign a guy like that. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
And with that type of aging roster, you're going to have inevitably you're going to have more than just Jarry to worry about as far as injuries. You're going to have a ton of players that you have to worry about injuries. You have Chris Letang, who it's unfortunate, but you don't know if the chances of him playing an 82-game season is remote at this point. And you could go up and down that list and argue there's 5 or 6 guys on that team and main core guys that could have a serious problem playing anywhere close to 82 games for a variety of reasons.
Jarry's not going to. He played 47 last year. He didn't play the number he was supposed to.
No, he was supposed to play about 55 to 60.
And look, I still think Casey DeSmith might be the best goaltender on that roster. I know it's the World Championships and everything. I get it. I understand that. But he looked pretty darn good.
It's weird. He looks really good at times in situations that he's not supposed to. And then when you think he's kind of turned the corner, just something happens. It just doesn't work. That's kind of how his whole tenure has been in Pittsburgh.
It really has. It's weird. It's just really weird about how he did, what he did. Again, he played that great game. I know Jarry was injured and he played that good game 7 and the Penguins lost. And again, defensively, that's where they lost the series. I don't think it was goaltending. It was defense that they just couldn't do it and they didn't have the depth. And yes, they add Lars Eller and they add Matt Nieto and you add Nola Chari. Funny, Kyle Dubas. We were wondering what Maple Leaf was going to go where. He was going to plunk somebody eventually. And he traded.
Yep, the defensive center extraordinaire move. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, I mean, Zucker wasn't staying. They just didn't have the room. They have to figure out a way to re-sign Jake Getzel, and they want to keep him, and they probably will. But again, and they added Riley Smith. Don't forget that's the piece from the Vegas. I think Riley Smith makes that top 6 a lot better. But again, you have Jeff Carter, 35 plus contract.
You have pieces.
Can he stay
pieces
healthy?
You can't get rid of.
No, you don't have guys that you can get rid of. Somehow they're on Erik Karlsson. To be honest, look, I think they tried to upgrade. I really do. I think they tried to get an upgrade with maybe a Hellebuck or a Gibson. But the market and the value you're getting is just not there, as we saw in the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. Those are great. Those are good NHL players, but they're not at the value of Pierre-Luc Dubois.
And that's not, look, it's no knock on Pittsburgh in that regard. But the problem is when you don't really have a plan B or a plan C, it gets shown on a day like today.
It does. It really does. And look, I agree. Again, 5 years.
The term is rough. There's no question about it.
I'm not. Even the AAV is a little. Yeah, rough for me.
I mean, I think he was projected around.
If it was at 3 at 5, if it was 3 at 5, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, it's weird.
If it 5 at 5.
It starts turning the stomach sour. I mean,
it really does. I'm not really a fan of it. It's just not good. And look, the Penguins they're one of those teams with the Capitals. Hate to say it, Ian, your Bruins. That's one of the big question marks for me going into the season next year is which of these teams are going to miss the playoffs, if not all 3.
Oh boy. And it's true. Because
I hate to be that guy, but
I did say
and
welcome to the bubble.
Braden makes a great point. Makes a great point. You still have that Granlund contract. I
Holy
know
moly!
that's the former.
You keep forgetting about it.
It's there. I mean, previous administration, but still, you got to figure out a way to get rid of that. The Raquel contract
There's a list
is still
of
there.
bad deals.
There's a laundry list of bad deals that Kyle Dubas has to get out under. And I think he just made his first bad contract with Tristan Jarry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be it's like digging a 6-foot hole and then realizing you need another 6 feet.
It really does. I mean, look, even like there were teams that were sniffing around Jari, but I don't think they wanted to.
Oh.
As I told Peter Bogg at the NHL draft, I was like, I told him,
gonna happen.
I said to him,
Don't do it.
I said, buddy, don't do it. He's like, because I was standing right next to him. He's like, oh, did you hear Miles Wood's probably going to Colorado? I said, good luck with that. He's like, what do you mean? I said, cover him for the last God knows how many years he's been there. I said he takes every game, he takes a dumb offensive penalty you're going to write about, and he only knows how to get.
Yep. He has no breaks.
He has no breaks. He doesn't understand the game. Yes, after he sat in the first round, he was a little better, but still, I don't think. No, not Kenny Wu. Kenny Wu was very, very finesse on his skates. That was Luis Mendoza.
Ooh.
Luis Mendoza.
Wow.
Couldn't stop. See, I know my Ducks. But still, look, Miles Wood, that contract, 6 years. 6 years for Miles Wood. Ouch. Look, we all knew, and again, I'll reference the article May 28th of this year, before the Stanley Cup Final started. I'll reference my Devils article that I put out there that said that Miles Wood, Thomas Tatar, and Mackenzie Blackwood and Ryan Graves were not coming back.
Yep.
It just wasn't going to happen. I also said Sharon Govich was not going to be here, and probably Boquist. They just weren't sure what they were going to do. The Devils, like similar to the Sharks, they didn't qualify Bastian and McLeod, but they get the deals done on their terms today, and they probably had them done yesterday. They just couldn't announce it today. That's my guess, because that's what they wanted to do. And oh, by the way, chalk one up for this team right here, this tag team. How many times we tell you, listen. Yeah, I'm not joking. It's 6 years.
6.
It's 6 years, Brady.
And that's not even the worst one today.
No, that's not even the worst one. I'll tell you what is it? 6 at what?
Not 4.
2-5.
5.
6, 2-5. I mean, the AAV's okay. The AAV's okay. I don't have a problem with the AAV.
I don't think he's going to be in the NHL by year 6.
I don't think he's going to be in the NHL in year 3.
I was trying to be nice for once. This is rare.
I'm serious. Like, I'm serious. He will not be on Colorado in 3 years.
Yeah, Jared Bednar is going to just sit there and be like, the amount of headaches, the amount of Aleve I'm taking right now is not worth this headache.
No, he will be. I'm going to put the over under on him being a healthy scratch in year 1 at 10 games. And I'm being nice.
10, huh?
I'm being nice.
Oh, God. I want to take the over on this only because I think it'll be a few more.
Well,
I said, but it's close. Right. It's right there. I mean,
it's right there.
The book has it. I'm just saying the book has a good number here.
I'm just saying. I don't do it for a living, but I know this player.
Yep.
I know this player. But going back,
seen too much of
going back to New Jersey in this tag team, we told you that before July 1st, probably at the draft, Timo Meier was going to get done. Said it. We've told you multiple times. Again, we know stuff. I'm just saying, you got to listen to what we're saying. They get it done, reasonable AAV. I love the signing. I love the trade for Tyler Toffoli. This team has gotten a lot better. Yes, their bottom six is going to look different, but I really like the Toffoli trade. It's only one year at 4.2. If he performs well, you go year to year, maybe you go 2 years next year. It's not going to hurt if the cap goes up.
Yeah, this is a what you would call a friendly deal for New Jersey. And that's rare.
Absolutely.
Usually when you see deals like this, it's like, oh, well, how's it going to backfire? How much more is he going to want? Look, we know that the 73-point season was an outlier.
Yeah,
Everybody
absolutely,
does.
It was. Everybody knows that.
But you're getting Toffoli for basically a middle six player that is able to provide stability and, most importantly, the old adage of keeping the puck away from the other team.
Right. And you have a solid top six where you could either slide them playing with Heischer, you can move them with Hughes, they have options. They have a lot of options now in the top six. And I think that's a good thing for the Devils. I really do. I think that's a really good thing. I like the addition of Colin Miller. I think that was one thing that Tom Fitzgerald again stressed at the NHL draft was he's looking to improve areas of strength, wanted to add a depth, add a winger, still wants to do that. They're still looking at a goaltender. Regardless of what, they still want to add a goaltender. I really believe they want to get a veteran guy in there.
Yeah, Calgren is just a Utica depth move, if I've ever seen one.
It's a Utica depth move. Unless they really start with Vanacek and Smeed, I really think they really want Hellenbuck. I just don't know how they can make it work. And the return for Winnipeg is going to be not what they think it's going to be. So I like what the Devils did. Again, the reason they got Colin Miller is the uncertainty around Simone Nemec.
Yeah, you have to have insurance.
You have to always have insurance. Look, Tommy Fitzgerald, the one thing he's always stressed since coming to New Jersey is you can never have too much strengths, right? You can never have too much depth. Your areas of strength can always be improved. And I think they did that with Colin Miller. You got a perfect bottom six guy. Perfect bottom six guy. And I think we lost Chris again. But he's a perfect bottom six guy. You got Kevin Ball, you got Luke Hughes, you got Marino, you got Siegenthaler. This team is set defensively. And again, what this team has done offensively, if they can get a goaltender, look out.
They look pretty solid. Not gonna lie.
No, they're gonna look good. I really like what they did. I don't know about you, but I think what they did was really good.
And then there's other teams where you just go, wow.
Lou, what are you doing?
I don't know.
What are you doing, Lou?
Holy.
Look, all right. He came out, and I believe he gave the same contract to Horvat, at $8.25, right?
Yep.
And he said it was, and somebody asked him about the contract, and he's like, it's too long for too much. And he gave it to Sorokin. Now, look, I think Sorokin's one of the best goaltenders in the league. I really did. And there's a reason why he was up for the Vezina Trophy this year. He didn't win it, but there's a reason why he was up for it. And there'll probably be a reason he'll be up for it every year. He keeps the team in every game. And that's why they'll be near the playoffs all the time. The problem is this team has yet to address goal scoring.
And still hasn't.
By the way, they re-signed Scott Mayfield, 7 years, $315. Pierre Engvall, 7 years at $3 million.
Somebody get me the Mylana.
And Simeon Varlamov has a 4-year contract extension. Look, again, I said it when I was at the draft on Thursday. Lou's magic is there every now and then. He gets rid of Josh Bailey, just sending a 6th-round pick to Chicago. So he doesn't have to do the buyout, and he gets it off the books. That's Lamoriello magic at its Right. I'll give him a thumbs up for the Sorokin deal because you're gonna have to pay him.
Yeah, there's an age problem. Breda makes a great point.
We'll get there in a second. 1 second on Varlamov, but I want to talk about Sorokin for a minute. I like the signing because he's young enough where the 8 years only gets him in to his early 30s.
37. Remember, it's an extension.
Right.
Oh, see, I don't mind like the first 5-6 years, but playing on that team with that amount of stress, if he sees 8 years,
he'll be lucky.
I say you make a statue outside of.
And by the way, let me also say happy Rick DiPietro and Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yes, it is. It's July 1st.
It's July 1st. So just throwing it out there since we're talking Islanders and that area. But look, Sorokin, he deserves the contract. And as Jamie McLennan said on the podcast, why is it frowned upon that guys, top-end goaltenders, can't get paid like top-end forwards?
Yeah. Oh, I get the AAV completely. I mean,
I get the AAV. He had to. There was no choice. He had no choice. I had Islanders fans tell me, and I'm not going to mention names, that think they know better. I said Scott Mayfield was coming back. They didn't like it. I said, well, you're going to need a veteran presence because when you lost, whatchamacallit, Nick Leddy, the team suffered. You couldn't do it again.
Yeah.
They got him in on term. Fine. Why is Pierre Engvall getting a 7-year contract? Please tell me.
Like I said, this is even worse than the Miles Wood contract. I mean, look, Engvall is a little bit nicer of a player, but still, he's rather limited, to say the least.
And this team is still old.
Yeah, they didn't address the problem of age at all. If anything, they kicked the can down further down the road to the point where you can't go and get the can back now.
And this team is still not a playoff team in my eyes.
They're not.
They're not.
Too many teams got better.
Too many teams got better. Their own division got better. The two teams, look, I will say this. As much as the Rangers got older, they're still a better team.
Oh, a Rangers Islanders bubble.
Right. I believe that. Columbus is better with the coach. Put all the other stuff aside. They're better with the coach. Their defense is improved. You're going to have a stud center in Adam Fantilli.
You would like to think that there is no way in Hades that they will be as snake bitten injury-wise this upcoming year as they were last year.
So, Chris, I'm going to give you the floor on the Varlamov contract.
Oh, I should start drinking now. Hold on. Where's my favorite Russian brand of vodka here? All right. So Varlamov is like 364 years old, or at least it feels like it.
Yes.
And to be fair, there were times last year where there was sort of the writing on the wall that Semyon Varlamov probably should not come back in any way, shape, or form. Do something, get rid of him, send him off anywhere.
Right.
We had Islanders media. We had people on WFAO, as they used to call it back in the 90s.
WFAO.
Yeah. And then an ow in a bad way. And this is one of those cases where you sit there and go, okay, what, 1-year extension, maybe 2-year extension? All right.
I would have gone 2 years.
Okay, not bad because he's still playing at a decently good level. He keeps
as a
things
backup.
stable. He knows his role. Sorokin seems to like him, along with the rest of the team. But 4
years, bro, really?
And worse, you hate to say something like this, but the Islanders keep doing themselves no favors just as they seem to get out of something.
Right.
This has been going on just keeps happening.
You-
And it's like a choose your own ending book that just never ends well.
No. And they get out of the Bailey contract, but you give yourself 4 years on Varlamov? Why? Like, why? Why would you do that? That's such an awful decision.
Yeah, especially when you do kind of have some options that are a lot. Look,
I
say
would have
this.
gone with Bressois for 2 years.
You have Bressois out there. You want to?
Halak was out there.
Halak was even out there. I mean, I get it. Some people don't like Halak. Whatever. But for a year?
Look,
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you this about Halak. I still think he's one of the best backup goaltenders in the world because he is a backup goaltender.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, in the first half of last year with the Rangers, he got no run support.
He was flat out left on an island.
Right. But he performed well.
Yeah. And you can't say that about some other backups that, we've seen here legendarily blow up in our faces.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Yeah, I will. Braden makes a good point in chat room. Lou loves chaos in a bad way. Lou loves to be the center of attention.
But in a bad way.
See, that's the difference.
Look,
in this phase, as I'm going to put this post salary cap, with the salary cap era, Lou versus the salary cap is still the greatest rivalry in the NHL.
He's batting. He's 0 for 1,000 against the salary cap.
He just never gets it, and
he doesn't understand it. He doesn't. But this is the MO because he's still living in a pre-salary cap world because he thinks that these bottom 6 guys that he can continuously get, we're going to grind it out, and when we get to the playoffs, we're going to make the playoffs, barely make the playoffs, and we're going to grind it out because my team's playoff ready. You still have to score goals. You cannot average 2 goals a game. Vegas averaged 3.5 goals per game, still played defense, and got timely saves. Can't stress that enough.
Yeah, look at the last few Stanley Cup champions.
You have to score. The Islanders cannot score.
Can't score. Can't convert on the power play.
No, 0 for 11 in the series is what did them in.
Yeah. They beat with a competent power play. They beat Carolina, and Rob Brendamore's fired.
Oh yeah, well because we saw it in the third round. We saw it. A good goaltender and good defense stymies Carolina. The Devils just didn't have that, and all their energy was gone against the Rangers. If they played any sediment of defense and got a save, that's a different series.
Yep.
But the Islanders took it to Carolina. They kept the games close. They had the goaltender and the defense to do it. But you still got to score. Horvat. But the system has to change on the island. You just can't be a reactionary team anymore.
This is 2023.
This isn't 2000. And even in 2000 and 2001, the Devils were taking the offense to everybody.
That's what people don't realize. If you look for those that don't have the history book handy, look at the 2000, 2001 Devils
pull it,
and look at some of the numbers, and you're immediately going to go, what? It's pretty mind-blowing, and it's also there's a couple guys on there that should be in the Hall of Fame. But again, it's one of those things where there are teams out, and look, it's not just Lou and the Islanders. There's other teams that are kind of like caught in this like endless vacuum of what I have no idea.
What I don't. Yeah, I mean we're.
Hi, Detroit.
I mean, look, I don't know what Steve Yzerman's doing. All
right.
I really don't. All right, before we get to Steve Yzerman,
more.
I just want to mention I want to mention the Metro team, the other Metro team for a minute. Okay, I want to mention what the Rangers did, and then we'll talk about the Bruins and everything else before we get to another signing I just dislike so much today. And I also liked what Florida did with Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I really like the 1-year deal for him.
Oh,
I thought that was a good deal. I thought that was a great deal. And by the way, shout out to Mike McKenna talking about Joey Decor getting signed Seattle because of what he did in the AHL playoffs. He was on it all day, and I want to give him credit for that. I really want to give him credit for that because he deserves it, because he was on it yesterday all day about, I think he said it would be a great signing. This is the way to go. He's going to be a good backup. So, like I said, I mentioned earlier, the Rangers got a little older. They add Blake Wheeler, which I think is a great signing, by the way. Underrated signing, the winger, the value that they got for him. I think that's going to be good. It's going to help out their depth at the right wing. It still gives Lafreniere and Kakko chances. I do not agree with the backup goaltender of Jonathan Quick. I don't get it. When Cam Talbot signed for $100,000 more in LA, I really don't understand that signing. Tyler Pitlick's fine. Riley Nash is good. Alex Belize is fine. Depth guys you added. They added a lot of depth and on D, and they made decent signings. But again, the backup goaltending position is so important in this game. And I like the signing of Bonino. Again, they had to go dumpster diving because they were up against the cap. Let's be honest. That's what it was. They were up against the cap. And I thought I saw another signing. They signed Gustafsson too on the back end. But Jonathan Quick at 37 is not the backup goaltender for the New York Rangers. I'm not the only one that said it. Vegas didn't go to him with all the injuries. They went to Aiden Hill. Okay? That's the difference right here. If Sturkin goes down, Jonathan Quick's your starter. That's a problem.
And there's no answer.
And the Jonathan Quick from a couple of years ago is gone. I hate to say it. He had his resurgence. He had that one final good year.
Yeah, you're not getting like this magic year 40 or year,
No.
It's not happening.
No, you're not getting that. No, it's not. It's not happening. I hate to say it.
Even worse. Here you go. The hips don't lie, and his hips don't have it anymore.
No, they don't. His hips don't have it. Look, it's a great story for Wheeler and Quick playing for the hometown, their teams that they grew up, But again, it was that really. You could have brought Talbot back. There were other options out there. You didn't need to do that. And to me, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
All right, Alex Lyon is out there. Was out there. Anthony Stolarz was out there for quite a bit of the day. Younger guys who are a little more hungry that could probably. Stolarz is a Jackson, New Jersey native, for example.
But look at what Alex Lyon did last year for the Florida Panthers.
Kept them stable enough to get them in the playoffs.
And I didn't again, the Rangers up against the cap. What Halak's probably looking for was too much for what they could do. But he didn't play badly for them. And I just don't think that's going to be. I just don't think that one's going to work out. They got older. That's it. Like we just said, the New York area bubble maybe for those two teams.
Yeah, they got older. Which I didn't think the Rangers would get older. I thought they would dial it back a little bit,
get younger,
and try to get a little bit younger with some of their depth, especially. And then signing Quick just completely torpedoes that entire plan.
I just don't like that signing.
I'm
not a goalie
I'm almost
guy.
waiting for the just after Thanksgiving they re-sign Patrick Kane or something even dumber.
Yeah, well, there's still a couple guys out there on that board that have not signed yet. Vladimir Tarasenko, Tyler Bertuzzi, and it sounds like Bertuzzi's going to wait till tomorrow. Tarasenko's taking his time. But I got to give a shout out. I like what the Bruins did, and I also like what the Predators did today, too. Bruins signing James Van Riemsdyk, Milan Lucic back, Shattenkirk, Morgan Geekie, who was somehow not qualified by Seattle. So I thought those were good signings by the Boston Bruins. I really did. I thought those were really good signings for a team that obviously potentially could lose both David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron this year.
Yeah, they're basically stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, we'll get to Anaheim in a minute. Yeah, Alex Killorn and Radko Gudas in Anaheim, very interesting signings.
Just a little bit. Just a little.
Just a little bit.
So, I mean, obviously, you have what Boston had to do today.
Right.
Nobody likes to see that if you're in Boston. It's not waving the white flag per se, but it's sort of like the reality of, hey, there was always this possibility, and they have to be prepared for it, for better or for worse.
Yeah, and they're operating like those guys aren't coming back, and I think we were all under that assumption, and I think everybody thought that's what was going to happen at the end of the year when they lost in Game 7. But yeah, Anaheim, 4 years for Killorn, 3 years for Gudas. Again, the term for these players, older players, gonna coming back to bite you, because I thought Anaheim. I know you need veteran presence on your team with a rebuilding team, but when this team's ready to compete, maybe that's when you sign those two players. Not now.
Yeah, Anaheim's not in much of a position of anything, and they're still in the middle of trying to dismantle things too.
Right.
You can't build your house back up if the whole entire back end is still caving in.
You know what's a sneaky good signing today, and I think could turn his career around, playing with a guy like McKinnon, is Jonathan Drouin in Colorado.
The Halifax Mooseheads are reunited at last.
I think that's a really sneaky good signing.
It might have been the only smart move Joe Sakic made all day today.
Well, he signed Byram to a 2-year
but
extension.
My head's not quite into that one.
Oh, that's...
the injury
tough.
ninja is just...
He's lurking, right? How about Duchesne signing for a year in Dallas?
You know what? It's not a bad idea. You're taking a shot.
No, because... No, they're taking a shot, and you can always upgrade. They upgraded their top 6.
Yeah, you look, these short-term deals. You're literally just you're just seeing what sticks, and hopefully for Dallas it does.
Okay, Detroit. Obviously, they traded for Yamamoto. They bought him out, and they got Constant. They re-signed Constant for 2 years. Justin Hall 2 years. Lindstrom 2 years, not Nick Lidstrom, but another one. Then he signed James Reimer, Sprong. I like the Daniel Sprong signing, but JT Compher 5. I mean JT Compher at 5 times 5 isn't terrible. But what else? But they also have a lot of $5 million players on that team too.
Yeah. And you just got rid of somebody last year at the deadline that was a god-awful contract for them, and Philip Hronek.
Yeah.
So you're going to add JT Compher essentially, who's not a bad player. 3 years at $5 million, not so bad. 5 years, again, I'm looking for my Gaviscon and whatever other stomach medications I can muster.
Yeah. I got another head scratcher for me. LA. Look, I love Dennis Bernstein, DB. Shout out, fourth period guys. They were on guys like this, but Talbot and Copley. I know Talbot's a good goaltender. I know what he did in Minnesota, but I saw what happened last year in Ottawa.
Yeah, does his body hold up?
LA needs a save. But LA, for them to advance to the playoffs, has to be number 1 in that division.
Yep.
Yes, they traded for Pierre-Luc Dubois 8 times, 8.5. Great contract, great trade. They're set down the middle. Yeah, you lose Velarde. Yes, you lose Kapari. Yes, you lose Alex Iafallo. But They got better down the middle. I think Dubois to LA was a good trade. I really do. I thought it was a good trade.
It works for them. It gives them room to make moves offensively that won't blow that part of the budget anyway.
No.
And will ultimately make them better come the playoffs. But again, you're looking at the back end and going, oh, yeah. And that's where the problem is. And again, you alluded to it perfect, Jim. They have to now finish first in the division to make this work because there's a team that they cannot face because they simply cannot beat them in the playoffs.
I think in the history of these teams meeting in the playoffs, the LA's beaten them twice. Maybe.
Yeah,
twice, I think, twice. Darrell Evans, everybody knows Darrell Evans, okay? I think Gretzky's Kings beat the Oilers once.
And that LA team was and there were some damn good LA teams that lost.
Yeah, so again, you got to get past Edmonton. You have to look. Dennis Bernstein said it on the podcast. If Korpisalo makes a save, even Evan said this to me. Forget who had the breakaway. Somebody had a breakaway in the third period against the Oilers in Game 4. If that player scores, the series is over. Like, the Oilers aren't advancing to the second round, and it's the Kings that are going to probably face Vegas. They just needed a save.
Never got it.
Look, I love what Barry Trotz is doing in Nashville. You know, he got rid of bad contracts. He has to do Duchesne buyout. Okay, whatever. It's going to hurt you over the next couple of years. But if the cap goes up, it's not going to really hurt you too much. And not like with the Guerin buyouts of Parisi and Suter when the cap just stayed flat and they're eating up $14 million. Yes, trade Saros. Look, speaking with Trotz, I think, there's going to be some lean years there. It's going to be some rough time. I think he's trying to get this team out of the murky middle. You get rid of Johansson, you eat $4 million. Okay, that's fine. You're eating teams as well. You're eating, some of the Duchesne contract as well, right?
Yeah.
But, it's but I like the signing of Shen, Nyquist, Ryan O'Reilly at 4 years, and Alexander Carrier. I really do. I think the O'Reilly deal of 4 years may be a little bit long. The AAV is fine, but to me, I think it was a good signing. Same with Shen. I think Barry Trotz is putting character guys on this team. He's getting rid of a lot of the David Poile players and the mistakes that Poile made towards the end of his time in Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, would I have signed Shen at $2.75 million? I could have gotten him for $2 probably.
Yeah.
Especially Nashville, something like income tax discount. Yeah. You probably could have, but I get it. You have to get the guitar ready and
right.
Play a little diddle here and there. The problem is with Nashville, and we saw it last year. For better or for worse, the younger players that came up from Milwaukee seem to be more enthusiastic about winning than the older players that have since been jettisoned.
Right. And I think you have a new coach in Andrew Burnett, new attitude, something that Winnipeg should be embracing. Because Wheeler's gone. You have Dubois gone. Is Hellebuck going to go? What about Scheifele? I think if you can convince Scheifele that he's going to be the captain, I think he wants to stay. I really do. But you have to get an attitude adjustment in there. Like, you really do. Like, they have to buy into Rick Bowness. But again, Bowness, his old school coach, called out his players. The players didn't like it. What do you think was going to happen, though, when you don't perform for your coach?
Something has to give.
Something has to give, and the coach got mad. Happens. But when the going gets tough, that Winnipeg Jets team didn't perform. They should be blowing it up. I don't know how many guys I talk from Winnipeg saying they need to blow this thing up.
Yeah, it hasn't worked for how long?
Right. They got to where they went so far. Maybe if Scheifele doesn't get suspended in the bubble, they maybe make a run.
I think they could have made a run.
They might have lost to Vegas again.
It's possible.
But it was everything, if Scheifele doesn't get suspended, that they could have made a run. But again, they got to blow it up. I think Barry Trotz is doing what he's doing. It's going to be some lean times in Nashville, but he understands what needs to be done.
And I don't think they're done yet.
I don't think they're done yet either. I really don't think they're done. I think UC Saros is out of there.
This is why, I say to people, like, for other teams and such, yeah, just because something didn't happen July 1st doesn't mean it's not going to happen July 15th.
Just because it didn't happen at the draft doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I mean, Alex DeBrinket's still out there.
We've got lots of dangling parts out there.
There's so many dangling parts out there. There's so many parts out there that you don't know. Like the Eric Carlson thing still out there. The Alex DeBrincat. Florida moves Anthony Duclair to San Jose. Are they making a bigger push for Tyler DeBertuzzi? Are they trying to get into the DeBrincat sweepstakes? And speaking of Ottawa, we'll get Murray on here one day. He's going to talk to us about this.
He got to explain this one.
You guys explain this one to me. I don't know how you sign Jonas Korpisalo to 5 years at $4 million. Like I said off the top, GMs still don't know. They don't learn a damn thing.
There's a reason why we used to call it the Korpisalo death train in fantasy hockey. Because you got on that train ride and it did not end well for you.
No.
And it doesn't end well for teams. Look at Columbus. Look how bad when things went from bad to worse there. LA. Yeah, he started off well enough.
But didn't he knock off the Maple Leafs though?
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things. Started off well enough. Too much. Let's put it this way. Too streaky.
Right, he is too streaky.
So he's too streaky. The problem is he's too streaky. And this is crazy to say. He's too streaky to be a starter, and he's too streaky to be a backup.
That's a problem. That's you.
In Ottawa, you just paid him to be a starter.
Yeah, I mean, I know you had Anton Forsberg there, and Sogard isn't ready.
How many goaltending situations are you going to chunk if you're in Ottawa before the GM gets the boot?
This team needed a steady goaltender. Can Korpisalo be that? Yes. The team's ready to take the next step. And again, I will emphasize on here, I'm not in his shoes, and I'm speaking with Murray Pam, who does a great job for us, and speaking with others in Ottawa. I know DeBrincat wants out, but I think the team needs to and again, they don't have to trade him now. Like, this is a Matt Duchene situation. Everybody thinks it's going to be over. It could wait till the season, but if I'm Ottawa, I try to convince him to stay at least through the beginning of the year and see what happens and see if you can improve your goal scoring for what the additions that they made, how they did it, because this Ottawa Senators team is ready to take the next step.
Yeah, what's the harm in taking a shot?
What is the harm? Again, I'm not in his shoes, but I know some people in Ottawa agree that he should at least take a shot at it.
I know
but he wants out so bad that, again, look, obviously again, going back to the Bruins, they moved out Hall and Foligno for Bertuzzi. He's still out there. I'm very shocked that they couldn't get anything done, considering that Bertuzzi is such a great fit for Boston.
Yeah, it's almost like asking, well, what does Bertuzzi really want? Is it term? Is it money? Is it, maybe he just didn't feel like the fit was there in Boston, or he could see the writing on the wall. Whatever the case may be. Right. He's not coming back.
He ain't coming back. So they did their work. I like, Kevin Hayes these are the trades that last week, and you could check out on the podcast too. But Hayes because we really didn't talk last week about anything. Hayes to St. Louis, 50% retained by Philadelphia. Philadelphia's just cleaning house. I like what Danny Briere is doing. Look, Hayes to St. Louis isn't a bad play.
No, it's not. Philly's gonna rebuild their way. They're gonna take their time doing it.
They got Mitchkoff. That's a great play.
Yeah, we're gonna see if he really plays next year.
He's not playing next year.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. I know
the way Briere was talking. He's like, we don't expect him here, and we expect him here in 3 years.
Yeah, not a year and change like some people were claiming. Even through his translator, that was lost in translation.
That was definitely lost in translation because Mitchkoff even said he's not sure if he's definitely not coming to camp. We know that.
Right.
Like, he's not coming to camp this year.
That's a given.
And and speaking with Flyers guys, they don't expect him for 3 years, which is the timeline of this team.
Yeah, they got a while.
Look, Alex Newhook to Montreal. I think that's a great play for Montreal because the center, the young players are coming together, and what Martin St. Louis is doing with those young players.
Yeah, I mean, look, Newhook is a classic Martin St. Louis reclamation project of sorts.
And No, go ahead.
Yeah, Newhook wasn't that bad last year. It's just there's several aspects of his game that he has to work on, and I couldn't think of a better coach than Martin St. Louis to work on.
I wouldn't either, because speaking with him again, hate to name drop, but Chris, you would do it too, and I know you've talked with a lot of these guys. It's a fact. He's happy that the players are buying in, and he's happy about the recognition. But it's not just about him. He's really just the fact that the players are putting in the hard work, and the team's reaping the benefit.
Right. You see so many teams where the opposite happens.
Yeah.
And what that'll result with Montreal this year, I don't know. I have no clue. Nobody does. But at least they're getting there. Again, there's just some teams where you can sit there and go, well, okay, this is how it is. It's going to be a while, and all right.
And that's what it
is. There's other teams that just get to a certain point, and instead of going up, they sort of like the yodeler on The Price is Right. They go
down.
They go down.
All right, so I think we're gonna wrap with Toronto.
Dun, 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 dun.
Ryan Reeves. Look, I know there's a lot of hate on Ryan Reeves in the contract, and I know the dynamic of the room, and I know I have never played in the National Hockey League. I haven't been in the room, and I understand certain guys in a hockey locker room make it better, but I'm sorry. This is why I'm an analyst. This is why I'm on this side. 3 years is too long.
So
because any multi-year deal he's signed, he's been gone the second year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something about that, huh?
Something about that. I don't know what it is. It's something about it.
It is a little odd. So we brought it up last night, before Twitter went haywire.
Yep.
Brad Treliving, for better or for worse, has been hawking Ryan Reeves for, it's been a while.
A long time.
So you knew the signing was going to happen inevitably. Now, there was the infamous multi-year contract that basically Vegas just went, oh, okay, we'll just give him 2 years and same amount. Good, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
We know he'll be gone in year 2.
Right.
Kelly McCrimmon said as such.
Yeah.
They did not expect him to finish year 2, and he didn't.
No. Do we expect him to be there in year 3?
No.
No. Do we expect him to be there in year 2? Probably.
Start.
The start.
And that's kind of the problem with Toronto. You have certain moves that you sit there and go, okay, I kind of get it. I may not necessarily agree with it, but all right, I see logic.
Right.
And then there's Ryan Reeves.
Look, I love the player. I
Player?
really do. I love the player. I think he's great. I think the worst decision Pittsburgh did was to get rid of him. Same with Vegas.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't fit when it comes to playoff time.
No. Because when the ice gets tighter,
he ain't out there.
He's not out there. Yeah. And if you ain't out there, you're not useful.
But it's not. The problem is it's not guys like Ryan Reeves that the Maple Leafs need to be worried about. It's guys like William Nylander, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and John Tavares not showing up in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, especially Tavares. And Marner in particular.
Like, I just don't get it.
How do these guys not produce in the playoffs?
That's why the Maple Leafs are not advancing. It's not goaltending. It's not the depth. It's not defense. Their top players are not performing every year.
Yeah, you can't make this up.
No.
You could try to, but you can't.
You can? No.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of certain teams that just couldn't get over the they just couldn't get past just this sort of like that was their ceiling and that was it. And that's kind of like how Toronto is at this point.
Yep.
So it wasn't going to matter who you were bringing in as a general manager. You can run back the team with Sheldon Keefe. Okay, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you couldn't really run this back with the same core players.
No.
And that's essentially what has happened.
Yep.
And they let Bunting go, which
that was Kerfoot's in Arizona.
I mean Kerfoot. Okay, that makes sense. I can
right.
If you're Toronto, what? Hey, good luck.
Whatever. Yeah.
But Bunting is a kind of jack of all trades, middle six guy that you need.
Right.
I don't know how much you could have paid him. I'm not in Toronto. I don't have enough beans in my bean counter, Jim, to
I don't
pay that one out.
No.
But there at least could have been a way or a path. Because obviously
there was definitely a path.
What in the heck is Toronto doing by signing a former Dallas/Anaheim defenseman?
John Klingberg? Oh, Minnesota defenseman too.
Yeah, who can't get past the first round.
For $4 million. What are you doing?
So that money could have went to Bunting with ease. And you still had money left over.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man.
And this is why we say to people, I will never be any kind of management in the National Hockey League because I would beat my head through a wall with some of the moves that are made.
If you couldn't pay me enough to be a general manager in the league,
there's just no way because you're questioned at every turn, and in some cases, rightfully so.
But if I was a general manager, I would be looking at this and I'd be like, I'm not paying this guy. I'd actually go the Tom Dundon approach on certain guys, and I would be like, fortunately, I don't think he's worth that.
Yeah, especially now.
Like, again, we're gonna see what happens. I was really surprised that Suter wasn't bought out in Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, I really was. I was really surprised.
I was expecting it.
Yeah, I was
I'm
expecting it too.
still half expecting it.
Maybe, I mean, there is a second buyout window, so they have room to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the NHL in a nutshell.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
As the fireworks are going off on 4th of July weekend.
It is 4th of July weekend. It's Canada Day.
They
Free agency day, and I think here at around almost 9:25 at night here, free agency frenzy. We're probably gonna wrap it up because there isn't really a lot of activity right now on going on. I think everything happened already. I'm sorry. 49 seconds ago, Garnet Hathaway to the Flyers, 2 years, $2.375 million.
they just, when you think they can't crap the beach, they just crap the beach because we can't say the other word on here.
I mean, it's a decent signing. It's a John Tortorella player. Yeah. Look, and I love a great point. Elliot made this great point on his podcast, and he was saying that, and people have asked me about my winners and losers, and I'm going to be honest. I said, look, outside of the top 10 players picked, I have no idea about any of these guys. No one's going to know about winners and losers about a draft for 5-6 years down the road. Everybody praises the 2003 NHL draft as the best draft class in history. Why? Because we let it develop and all the guys were really talented.
Yeah, well, these guys had that same luxury.
Right.
Don't know.
We don't know. It's like winners and losers of free agency. We're not going to know until the season started.
Yeah, come on, people. Yeah, I love seeing these columns.
We're not going to know.
It's like the NHL trade deadline winners and losers. Okay, here is your pure clickbait article.
Yeah.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Look at some of the excellent moves on the surface just from this trade deadline that went completely belly up.
Look, I will say this. I think some of the moves at the deadline were really good moves, but they just didn't pan out. Like Boston did good things at the deadline. I think Toronto did too much at the deadline. I think the Rangers did too much at the deadline. I thought if they just stopped at Tarasenko, they were fine. Meyer was fine. The team's just not ready. Vegas, obviously, look, you could say Vegas is the biggest winner of the deadline because Ivan Barbashev helped them win a Stanley Cup. I could have said, I was telling everybody Ivan Barbashev was one of the best players picked up at the draft. I mean, at the deadline.
Yeah. Remember, Barbashev is like 190, 195 pound forward that plays like he's 235, but skates like he's about 170.
He's a machine.
You don't find players like that. And for Vegas to be able to get him for what they did was extremely impressive. Look, Vegas also found lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Their team was able to find ways to score goals. I mean, we documented on this show when this team scored 4 or more goals and their record. And it was very simple. And it carried right through to the Stanley Cup final.
Right.
They scored goals for the mantra for every other team. Look at last year. Colorado. They scored goals. Tampa Bay. Yeah, okay. They have Vasilevsky. Still scored goal. I mean, this decade, you can go on and on.
Team scored goals.
Offense is
essential.
So are we going to see like 6.5 goals a game next year? We might.
Yeah.
Adjust your over-unders, ladies and gentlemen, from sportsbooks.
Yeah.
Keep them in the upright position.
I think
That's it. It's over.
It's over, folks. It's over. we're going to wrap this up. We're going to wrap this up for tonight. Thank you for joining us here on the Free Agency Friendly, the Full Press Hockey Weekly show. I think we'll give you probably a few more episodes before we call it a summer. But I thank everybody for tuning in. Chris Wassel, my tag team partner, NWO, along with Ian Glennon behind the scenes. Check it out at Full Press NHL. Full Press Coverage Facebook, Full Press Hockey on Facebook, Full Press Coverage on YouTube, Full Press Coverage Twitch. Get it out, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend, everybody. Be safe out there.
Until you pin me, Joe.